You're listening to Stories to Create with your host, Cornell Bunting. Author, motivational speaker, and founder of ES Each Episode. Cornell sits down with inspiring voices to uncover the stories that shape who we are and who we're becoming. Get ready to listen, learn, and be inspired. The show starts now.
Yes. Welcome back to another episode of Stories to Create podcast right here at ES Club. And, I hope you guys are feeling the love right now and enjoying your other half, your partner, your friend, your loved ones, whatever that look like, whatever love look like for you. And so today we're going to dive into love and what that looks like and the importance of even our younger adults, youths, understanding the importance of love and how powerful that is. And so who better to have a conversation like this with, but none other than, of course, you guys have heard her before on the show, the lovely Miss Danielle Paez. Welcome.
Hi. Thanks for having me again.
Oh my goodness, welcome back. This is good. How are you feeling today?
I feel good. It's a great topic.
Yes.
Appropriate for the times.
Love is in the air, like a whole lot of love. I mean, when you hear love, what do you think of?
My initial is I always go to divinity.
I like that. I like that. So in a space where, let's say, you just thinking back on those moments when you had to show love to individuals that maybe wasn't showing back love the way they're supposed to. And you could go back.
Go back in time? So I think, I was that, going back to like being a child, I was always that child that was at the Care Bear stare, like, so I was sweet and innocent and loving and caring and never wanted my friends to leave or my cousins to leave. And, I would hand over anything, play with my toys, eat my food, here's some candy, So, but I never expected love back because I just think that it was a natural state,
Okay.
I don't think I really started to understand that love had the best potential when there was reciprocity until I entered into intimate love.
Okay.
Because I think truly, and I can say this profoundly, that love, I've always understood love through the scope of my relationship with God.
Okay.
So when you know that, even as a child, then you know love.
Yes.
So there is this reciprocity because it exists beyond your understanding of this give and take.
Right.
So I didn't expect it to be this give and take until, you start entering into relationship and you give, and if the other person's not giving back, then there's an empty cup.
Yeah. It's kind of, I don't even know if it's on a curiosity base where you're when you're very young, you're really loving, even when someone is mean to you.
Absolutely.
You back to want to be their friend the next day or whatever. But as you grow older, I'm always curious of what happened or what developed to remove that.
I think innocence lost, right?
Yeah.
Because when you're young and you love and someone hurts you and you still love, it's because we know what unconditional love is. Right. It's not tainted, but the mind becomes tainted. Yeah. The heart becomes hurt.
Right.
The nervous system starts to respond,
Right.
and you build resistance, you build barriers, you build defense mechanisms.
Right.
But when we're young, those don't exist.
Yeah.
They're created.
When you tell like a child that's being bullied, to show the person that's bullying them love, and they look at you and like, that doesn't really make sense because all they're gonna do is continue being mean. But how would you say that could change?
See, I didn't grow up that way.
Okay.
I'll share a story.
Yeah.
So my first bully, I grew up, I told you before, in Boston. And my mother was not one to play with. It was one of those, if someone's bullying you or if someone's going to fight you, you better beat their butt and come back. And she said it not in a nice way, but,
Right.
Never start a fight, but, make sure you end it. Mm-hmm. So I was young. I was little. I was probably like 8 years old. And this girl was bothering me across the street. So I couldn't sleep one night. And my mother says, "What's the matter?" And I'm just like, "She just won't leave me alone." Da, da, da. Yeah. And we said, "Next time she does that, you make sure she, knows not to do it again."
Yeah.
So it wasn't show her love.
Right.
It was make sure it stops.
Right.
So she wouldn't stop. She wouldn't stop. She wouldn't stop. So the next day, I let her have it. And I beat her tail in front of everybody. Ripped her shirt off. I mean,
whoa.
But it was effective. Mm-hmm. But I felt so bad. I felt bad for her.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Kids were cheering on. I mean, it's like, man. And I didn't know my mother was watching through the window.
Oh, she
was watching through the window, right?
Like, you better win.
Yeah, she knew, right? But I was, when you're raised in that environment, you're raised for survival.
Right.
That's a part of making sure that,
oh, man.
you come out alive. But I felt bad.
Yeah.
Because somewhere deep within me knew that really wasn't the way. Right. So what I teach my children, I don't necessarily teach them to love their enemy.
Right.
I teach them to love themselves so that they can be resilient beyond what other people do to them. Yeah. I do think that, to show love is a great example.
Yes.
But they know that it's okay. Because I think if we teach kids love your bully, then what are we teaching them about their feelings?
Right.
About how they're feeling about it.
Yeah.
We don't want to dilute that they might or minimize what they're experiencing. Right. So I think it's important to let them know that the love is that I'm not going to accept this. Right. I'm not going to tolerate it. Right. I don't have to retaliate in the same method that you are.
Right.
And that's showing love, right? But it's self-love.
Yes.
You're showing self-love. And the hope is that you're going to emulate that to the other person. So at the end of the day, they're going to make their choices. Right. You don't have to love this other person who's hurting you. Yeah. You love yourself enough that you are, been able to sustain it. Right. And then the hope is that you mirrored it loud enough that they can make a change for themselves. Wow. But I don't know if I necessarily agree with love the bully. I don't know. What about you? You think you should love the bully?
I've always think back on Proverbs 15:1, where it says, "A soft answer turneth away wrath." Mm-hmm. So
love those rats.
I think because I'd learned how to fight, like I did mixed martial arts, and there was like this discipline that we had to carry out, and we had to. So we would always, even when we know we can beat that person, we always give them the win. Like, you got this, man. If we fight, you're gonna win. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't always like that because I had the ego and I wanted to show what I could do, and I did that one time and I felt bad, and I never wanted to do it again. So, but
it takes restraint.
Yeah,
it takes restraint. I learned that much, much later in life.
Yeah, when
to walk away.
Yeah. So and I know for a lot of people, it's always like, okay, so what if you're walking away and they're not trying to have you walk away. They want you to stand up and fight. That's when you really just got to show what you know. Yeah?
Yeah, I think, I always said, Jesus said, turn the other cheek, but we only have two cheeks. Right?
Yeah,
right?
true. Yeah.
So I'll give you two strikes, but then what do you expect?
Did you ever go back and became friends with that girl that you fought?
Actually, yes. Yes.
Wow.
I felt bad.
Yeah.
Because I knew that really wasn't, violence is never the answer. Really. Violence is never the answer. Violence takes us away. It separates us from our highest, our highest place, our highest purpose, our highest good. Right? So if we're trying to cultivate that, but unfortunately we don't live in a world yet that is always in that space.
Right.
So for survival, sometimes defense is necessary. And that's the whole point of martial arts, right? It's not about just turning the back and turning the blind eye or turning the cheek. There's a point where you have to protect the physical,
Right.
So, but I did. And we ended up being friends for years, but she never messed with me again.
That's good.
Nobody else did either.
That's a beautiful thing.
Not in that group anyway.
Yeah.
So
some would say sometimes people misunderstand love.
I think often.
Yeah.
But I think there's universal love. I think love is a universal energy.
Mm-hmm.
I know that love is the strongest, most powerful force known to man.
Right.
The most powerful force. Energetic force. No other energetic force is stronger than love.
This is true.
Yeah.
And if we remember that and sustain that and stay there, we won't need anything else. We won't need, we wouldn't need armies. We wouldn't need programs like we have, right? We wouldn't need any of that, because if we remained resonated in that space, then all things would be perfect. They would be as they're meant to be, right? So I think when we forget that, which we always do, because, life teaches us what it teaches us, and then we remember it again.
Right.
But there's different levels of love, and there's different forms of love. And, but I think, unfortunately, especially, when we think of romantic love. So how did you learn about romantic love?
I was young.
Did you read books, movies, your family, your parents? How did you, what was your first exposure to what romantic love was like? Was it a domestic, you saw your, the people around you, or was it movies and books?
It was my neighbor.
Okay.
She was older than me.
I don't mean you. I just mean what you saw.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
As a child, how did you see?
I think it was my first cartoon that I watched that I felt that love in it was Little Mermaid.
You better stop. You better stop.
No, serious. I was big on just how loving Ariel was, and then I was just crazy about Sebastian, and just how he's there, and just the way the whole thing unfolded. I'm like, I don't know. I feel like sometimes I'm still a big kid because, I would go and sit down and watch it again. Like I never watched it before.
That's my favorite movie. Yeah, that's funny you said that.
Oh my goodness.
Well, that's sweet. That so you see it as a movie, right? The fairy tale.
Well, yeah.
How many kids, how many children, that's how they emulate love, right? That's why we're trying to change the narratives of stories and make them more realistic about what's happening in real time, as opposed to the fairy tale of, I always say, happily ever after really isn't a thing. It's happy after everything.
Happy after everything. I like that. I like that.
So, even in Little Mermaid, they dealt with everything, all the trauma and drama and
the
turmoil.
Yeah. When I wrote Line with No Roar, that was the goal, to show how powerful love is. And even though deception reigned in it, my characters still identify ways to look at that, look past that, and show his inner strength, and showing that individual, you did that, but it's okay. I'm still alive. I'm here. And I just want you to know I still love you and I forgive you. So now you can just be. And with that, I think, and even now with a lot of individuals, because they think of that, they think of the actions and stuff like that, and they have to live with that. I've always, when they have someone that committed a crime, whatever, and they put them on the death penalty or whatever, I feel like that person don't necessarily get to live with all that they've done, that conscience that want to kick in, that bothers you.
The guilt.
But I think the more individuals show their level of love, or their level of love, what that look like, I think then we deal with all those different conditions.
Yeah.
So would you say your family help you to display that love that you had?
Oh yeah. I mean, my family expressed love through music.
Okay.
Singing and being together. And we were, especially my mother, she was very affectionate, physically affectionate. We were that family where you come into the house and when you see all your aunts and there was, 7 of them and 2 uncles, you gave everybody a kiss, on the cheek. You made sure you showed respect and showed love. And they're obviously through food. And, I think love is expressed in so many different ways.
Right.
And growing up, we definitely, not all of my family is as physically affectionate as my mother was. My mother was very physically affectionate, hugs and kisses. And she had this thing where she'd put a red lip, like everyone got a red lipstick mark. And, that was from Auntie Diane,
Wow.
And that was her trademark. But, so I definitely learned how to be affectionate from my mother. And I've always been affectionate with my own children and, hugs and kisses. And, but my mother didn't learn that from her mother. They were old school,
tough love.
And you knew you were loved because you were fed. Right. You had a roof over your head,
Right.
And, they may have said, I love you, but it wasn't real physical affection. It was a different type of display.
Right.
But I learned that and cultivated it. And, and I'm still that way.
Yeah.
My people know I love them. They feel it,
Now come the question on the love that people think is not really love. Like when someone has a bad habit and the only way you can help them out of that is by not helping them.
You mean like codependent relationships or codependent situations?
Right. Like, drug addict.
Yeah, that's exactly a perfect example.
Come to you for money.
Yeah, and by not enabling them. That doesn't mean that you don't love them. It means that you aren't going to support, you're not going to enable a habit, right? That's an ultimate love. That's a higher level of love.
Yeah.
They just don't understand it at the time because their vibration can't recognize it.
Yeah.
So how they vibe.
They need that fix.
Yeah, I mean the fix, the addiction is more powerful than the connection between the two people.
Right. Yeah.
So addiction's tough.
Yeah.
Addiction and love, because addiction takes you out of normative patterns. It creates new fields of patterns, right? New behaviors and the whether it's a chemical addiction. I mean, there's so many people are addicted to love.
Yeah.
People are addicted to all types of things. It doesn't have to just be a chemical substance.
Yeah.
It's whatever dependency is created, So some people are in love with being in love, but they're addicted to being in love, right? They can't be by themselves. They have to be in relationships and, one person to one person. And because in those senses, they don't really love themselves enough. They haven't stopped to love themselves enough. And that takes healing.
Yeah.
How
does one even tap into identifying what that looks like?
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Every young person carries a story of hope, of struggle, of dreams waiting to rise. But in too many underserved communities, those stories go unheard.
At ease, Inc. Everyone has a story. We believe every voice deserves a chance. Through mentorship, empowering programs, and storytelling workshops, we help youth discover their purpose, strengthen their mindset, and build a future they can be proud of.
From classrooms in Jamaica to communities across Southwest Florida,
ES is changing lives,
one story at a time.
but we can't do it alone. Join us, become a mentor, volunteer, donate, help us fuel the next generation of leaders, creators, and change makers.
Visit ahazink.org today, because when you help a young person share their story, you help them change their world.
I have a theory that it typically happens at a breaking point. Sometimes it's a physical situation where illness, sometimes it's disease, sometimes it's a violent incident. I think everybody has their breaking point.
Right.
We're so unique.
Yeah.
So what's going to be my breaking point is going to be different than your breaking point, than someone else's breaking point. And even with kids, we want to prevent them from getting to the point of a breaking point.
Right.
That's so much of the work that we're committed to.
Yeah.
I think before they get to the breaking point, prevention of that. But sometimes it's a necessary conduit. It's a catalyst,
Yeah.
So when that breaking point happens, you're faced with, that crossroad,
Yeah.
right? You take the path less traveled, or you keep going down the road that is easy and, and defeats the whatever.
Yeah. So you'd agree that love is blind?
So I believe that love is blind only if you're foolish. Love is blind if you're foolish. Like the blind leading the blind. I mean, I wouldn't want to love blindly. You do? What's your opinion?
I don't know if I would say I love blindly. I
think love is unconditional.
Maybe that runs with because you have to love others the way you love yourself. But then I guess first you got to understand how to love yourself.
Exactly. Right?
Yeah.
Love thy neighbor as thyself.
Yes.
Right?
The pureness. Because they say love is very pure.
Love is pure. Love is the ultimate.
Yeah.
It's divine.
Yeah.
So I believe love is unconditional. True love is unconditional. If there's conditions, it's not love. That doesn't mean that there aren't like boundaries,
right,
or stipulations of when you know what you deserve.
Right.
That's what you deserve.
Yeah.
If someone's abusing you and you love them, it doesn't mean that you don't. It's a conditional love. The other person has broken that condition. They aren't loving unconditional because they're violating that love, that bond. If there's a addiction, same thing, on any front. So I think that if you want to say blind and conditional or unconditional, I think then it can live in the same space. But no, I don't love blindly. I love fully. So I see.
You see.
Yeah, I want to see everything. I don't want to love blindly. I want to see everything.
Yeah.
You know, I want to know all the mess.
Yeah.
Because that's how you know that it's authentic and pure, right?
Right.
If you're in the dark, blindness is a sense of darkness.
Yeah.
You know, love is supposed to be in the light.
Mm-hmm.
So
This is good. So, you know, with old school, or what would you call baby boomers?
I'm not a baby boomer.
They say.
Oh, the baby
tough,
boomers.
Yeah, the baby boomers. They say that tough love is the best type of love.
So what does tough love mean to you?
Well, I mean, from what was laid out to me, tough love is understanding that nothing is given to you, and you work for all of what you hoping for by yourself without just being given or not having that expectation of knowing that this is my blood or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
They can help me to walk that easy road.
Mm-hmm.
So people would consider my dad a tough love person because he doesn't necessarily help his seeds to evolve to the next level.
I think that that's one of those, like, love is unique, right? So I think that's when you self-reflect of, what do I interpret love to be for me? If love for me is financial assistance or companionship or support, then, because love, there is love language, right? You know, have you heard of the 5 love languages?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You should tell our listeners.
Oh, which one? So there's the 5 love languages. You help me. Acts of service, act of kindness, physical touch, gifts, quality time, and what's the other one?
So I'm just looking at all the different ways that love is laid out. Because, you know, there is a love, what would you say now, a love chapter or a love chapter. And I want to say it's in Corinthians. I'm not sure. Maybe 1 Corinthians 13, I think. Maybe. I'm not sure. But it's all these different moving parts of love.
Corinthians is full of it. Love is kind. Love is not envious. You know, I'm not. You're going to read it to us? It does not boast.
Right. It does. It doesn't. It does not. But there's quite a bit to it. So yeah, it is 1 Corinthians 13. Yeah. It's the love.
Love is patient and kind. Love does not envy or boast. It is not arrogant or rude. It does not insist on its way. It is not irritable or resentful. It does not rejoice at wrongdoings, but rejoices with the truth. So,
rejoices with the truth. I like that.
It does not insist on its own way. So, kind of touching on what you said about if someone wants to show love without support, then the support is in your way.
Yes. You know, I won't say the celebrity's name, but I was very close to the celebrity that big deal. But he was using. And I found out that, you know, there was times when he would reach out to me for money and I would give him. But then there was some times when he would reach out for money. I'm like, I don't understand. Like, where does your money go? You know, you're a big deal. You know, people see you and then I realized that was where he was, and I had to remove myself. And I wasn't taking his call, you know, to not help with whatever that was. And now he doesn't even want to talk to me now. He's angry at me because he said I left him.
Mm.
But I'm like, I had to, man. I had to, because you're killing yourself. And I didn't want to be a part of helping to kill yourself, you know. And so my hope he'll come around and see, like, you know, that was to help him, because he's back now, and he's doing good, you know. So it's good. It's good. So I think the conditions of love, for a lot of people, needs to understand where that can go and where that can take you, and the opportunities.
An expectation. And, you know, love is, like you said, there's love between friends,
Right.
you know, and family.
Yeah.
And then there's relationship love and love with your children. And, you know, it's, but I think if you walk in love, then it's more than an expectation of what's given. It's just, it is.
So, because some would say love can be very dangerous as well. And I think when people find themselves wrapped up in it, where they didn't necessarily take the time out to understand love, they can find themselves with someone that they don't want to leave that person. They want to be toxic. And
love is never, I don't believe love is ever toxic. True love is, I don't equate and I don't associate love with any negativity. Because for me, love is the ultimate in peace. Right. It's the blueprint for everything in its perfect state. So for love to be dangerous, it's not real love. It's control, it's manipulation, it's abuse, it's, you know, but infatuation and chemical, you know, all of the things that happen when people are intimate, or when you feel an attraction, or you know, the heart space that opens up, right? Yes. This is the misconstrued understanding of I'm in love. Right. Love is much more dynamic than just a feeling, you know, and that's why with kids and teens, that, you know, they're experimenting and they feel love, but when there's the misconception that intimacy is what creates love, right, that's just a conduit of an expression of love, right? Like having a good meal between two people can be an expression of love, you know? Right. So I don't believe love is dangerous. I think love is powerful. Yeah. And anything powerful can be used, what we know. Anything that's good can be used in an evil way, right? By the person who's trying to manipulate and control.
Right. That's beautiful.
You know?
I'm happy that you, because I know we're going to have listeners that are listening that they would think so. But then you do want those individuals to understand a lot of that behavior is not love.
It's not love. Yeah. Absolutely. Love doesn't hurt.
Right.
Love doesn't hurt.
This is true. And it does say in the Bible too that love is kind. It's very kind. So with like where we are now with these youths and the youths that are coming up, do you think they want to understand love?
Oh my goodness. I think this generation, absolutely. There are teachers in this regard. Yeah. Truly. I think it's more of us sitting back and listening. Yeah. You know, I think they want to understand how to harness it and use it. I mean, there's always influences that will combat that. Yeah. But this is a really conscious group. Yeah. This age of kids, you know, they're very conscious. They're aware. They're self-aware. But again, though, it's about, you know, everything in their time. Yeah. And understanding, like, real self-love is not egotistical. Right. You know, it's not about selfies and the personification of this, that, or the other. It's a true, stable force. Right. You know, and I do think they're in touch with that. And I think those who have experienced it in the home front, I mean, we need to create homes that express love more. Yeah. I think that's where we're failing, you know? And it's not about whether or not homes are broken or intact. There's a lot of homes that have one parent homes, single parent homes, you know, kids who are divorced and dealing with co-parents, that they understand, you know, love in a deep way, from familial love, you know. But I think that we need to amplify love in the home.
For a listener that's listening that don't know how to love themselves, what steps would you advise them to take?
Well, so I would say start to commit to learning who you are. And whether that's starting with a journal, right? Wake up in the morning or before you go to bed and just jot down your thoughts about who you see yourself as, how you feel the world sees you as, right? Just you can't love yourself until you truly know yourself. Right. And if you start to write down some of the words that float in your head, because think of all the words that bombard people throughout the day. You know, I'm not smart enough. I'm not good enough. I messed up on that. Or, you know, all this negativity, or even the opposite of it. Like, I'm the best and I'm, you know, but really take time to write down, you know, the day and who were you in the day? How did you show up in the day? So the more that you get to know who you are, then you're able to love who you are. Another technique that, you know, that I've taught is mirror work, right? And it's there's a couple ways to do it. When you wake up in the morning, you can use a Sharpie and you write on the mirror in the bathroom, you know, an affirmation of self-love. You know, I am worthy. I am beautiful. I am whole. I am peaceful. I am love. Okay. You can erase that with acetone, nail polish remover. Okay. And then say it, right? So sometimes people feel weird about saying it in the mirror, but so just start by writing it and then move on to starting to say it, right? Make it an affirmation, because the power of your voice will reaffirm it, you know? And then observe how you walk into the world, the thoughts that you're thinking, the words that you're saying, right? What type of damaging words are you saying about yourself throughout the day? I'm so stupid, right? Like that quick, you know, not even really meaning it. Kids all the time, like, oh, damn, I'm such a dummy, you know? Eradicate that. Say powerful words, affirmative words, kind and loving words. But that awareness, even as a parent, right? What are the words that you're saying throughout the day? You know, what are you saying to your kid? What are you saying about yourself in front of them? So pay attention to the words that you are speaking, and then also the words that you're thinking, you know, and the more awareness to it, then you catch it. And then you substitute it with positive words, right? So this is just a path to self-love, right? These are just actions, just like when you go to the gym, and it takes time, right? It's like, and it's not always easy. You have to build the regimen and the routine. And then eventually it starts to form into matter, right? And it's just a part of who you are. And those are just like the superficial ways. Then it's things like taking care of your body, doing things, small habits, making small changes, right? Taking care of your eating habits, drinking more water, getting rest, setting boundaries, you know, being able to say no. If you're at work or at school and you're always asked and you're a yes person and it's yes, but you're drained and you're tired, that's not self-care. That's not self-love. So being able to say, no, I'm sorry, I can't do that right now, or I can try to do that at another time. So building these patterns that show self-worth, and then, you know, you keep building, and then you're walking through the world with, you know, this high regard and true self-love. And that's just couple steps.
I like that. What comes to me is, you know, understanding that you're the most important person. When you understand, no matter what room you step into, and there's people in there that are titled or categorized as powerful or whatever their title is, as long as you understand that you're the most important person in that room or whatever space you're in. Because I've learned that if you're not if you're not okay, you can't make no one else that's dependent on you okay.
It's true.
So
It's true. No, so let me ask this. How do you differentiate that between ego and authentic self-worth? Because if it's the I am the most important, I am the most, then is it not a degradation of someone else? Why do we have to be better than anyone else?
right. So there's those levels. And so that's in a different category where ego can put someone into, and I think more that's like, okay, how do I get the attention of these individuals by this ego that I have within? But understanding that you are very important is not, that's the ego. Once you understand that, that's, you don't need to show that. You just need to live that. You need to understand the importance of you being healthy or whatever that look like for everyone else that's dependent on you. You knowing consciously that I need to make sure that I'm okay before I can make anyone else okay.
Right.
So the ego stuff is very different because that's more, as an attention seeker. That's how I look at that. So I don't know if I would say.
I think the ego. Ego is necessary.
It is.
Ego defines who it makes. It makes Cornell. It makes Danielle. Yeah. The ego is part of our personality, part of our persona, who we show up as. It's part of the masks that we wear, whether you're an author, or a speaker, or a father. You know what I mean? That's a part of our ego. So ego is not necessarily a bad thing. It's what we feed it, right? I told you the story of the wolf.
The wolf.
2 wolves. You know this story?
You can tell the listeners.
Okay. So, so it's an old native story of a grandfather is telling his grandson, within each of us, there's 2 wolves. And there's one wolf of vengeance and fear and pain and suffering and destruction. And there's another wolf of love and purity and peace and acceptance and joy. And they're always in this eternal battle, fighting for the position of power. And the grandson says to his grandfather, well, grandfather, who wins? And the grandfather says, whichever wolf you feed.
I like that.
Yeah. So you step into a room, what wolf are you going to feed?
Right.
So the ego is present. It's how you feed it.
It's how you feed it.
What you feed it.
I like that.
You know?
I like that. Wow, guys. Man, listen, I'm hoping you guys felt a lot of these gems that was just dropped here in Stories to Create. And as you guys hear our guests create the story and talk about love and what that looks like and the different categories of love. And as we speak to you today and you guys listen to what this sounds like, we're hoping that you will start understanding how to love yourself and taking those notes. Miss Danielle, thank you.
Thank you.
Oh my goodness, this was beautiful.
We have to end with the song, and I have a suggestion.
Yes.
Okay.
You know what, guys? This is so cool.
Right?
This is a cool piece right here. Man.
So you have to do it on yours.
Yes. I got to tell you guys,
That was funny. I wasn't expecting that.
just from conversation and then just how everything feel, what this can look like or what this sounds like, but us talking about the mermaid.
Yeah.
And how I I discover the first. You know what? This
That's
is
pretty cool.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Yes, I totally forgot about.
See how it works?
Mhm.
You remind me, and then look what happens.
Yeah. That is.
You always say the story unfolds.
it unfolds. Actually, there was a few that was on that on the soundtrack
Mm-hmm.
that I gotta say, this one, and for you guys out there, we're gonna leave you guys with something beautiful. And you know, if you guys have never watched Little Mermaid, well,
There's a new one coming out too.
is it?
Yeah, you don't know?
I did not know this.
We should take all of the kids.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
That, I think that would be really dope.
Yeah.
So
Plug a sponsorship opportunity.
ooh, there you go. So for all you guys that have tuned in tonight, or whatever time it is that you have tuned in to this show, we're gonna go out like this right here. I think
We'll
this.
splash around to get his attention, and then we'll
Down
go.
here is your home. Ariel, listen to me. The human world, it's a mess. Life under the sea is better than anything they got up there. The seaweed is always greener in somebody else's lake. You dream about going up there, but that is a big mistake. Just look at the world around you, right here on the ocean floor. Such wonderful things around you. What more are you looking for? Under the sea, under the sea. Darling, it's better down where it's wetter. Take it from me. Out on the shore, they work all day. Out in the sun, they slave away. While they devoting full time to something under the sea. Now here all the fish is happy, as after the waves they roll. The fish on the land ain't happy, it's hot cause they in the bowl. But fish in the bowl is lucky, they in for a worse of fate. One day when the boss get hungry, yes you got me on the pay. Oh, under the sea.
I don't know if I've ever seen you smile so hard.
Nobody beat us, try us, and eat
Well,
us.
guys, there you have it. Under the Sea. Listen, go check it out, guys. And hopefully you guys are enjoying your Valentine's, showing some serious love to your significant other, your friend, family members, whatever that look like. And just know, over here at Yas Club, we love you guys, yeah? Danielle, thank you.
Thank you again.
Yes. That was beautiful.
Thanks for tuning in and downloading this episode of Stories to Create. We appreciate you being part of this growing community of storytellers and listeners. If today's conversation inspired you, please share the show with friends, family, or anyone who could use a little motivation in their journey. A special thank you to our sponsors, EHAS Organization, Cornell Bunting LLC, and Nostril Cheese Chase for supporting the mission and making this podcast possible. To learn more about our work, upcoming projects, and how you can get involved, be sure to visit www.hisandgorge and www.cornellbunting.com. Until next time, keep creating, keep growing, and remember, your story has power.